Test Kit webinar. My name is Lori Rosario, and just to give you a little background on me, I've been with Qualitro about 6.5 years. I've held 4 different positions. This is my 4th position, which I took on effective the 1st of this year as the product manager for asset protection. Prior to Qualitro, I worked at Rotork, a company that makes actuators for valves in the oil and gas industry. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering Tech and a Master's of Science in Mechanical and Manufacturing System Integration, both from a local university called Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT. So the agenda for today would include an introduction, sudden pressure relaying in the NERC standard, some feedback that we've received from voice of the customer, what we offer, how to use the kits and what is included, resources, and then a question and answer portion.
So to start off the webinar, we wanted to just do a quick poll just to get everybody kind of immersed and do something interactive. So we wanted to know, do you currently have a way of testing your sudden pressure relay devices? So we just wanted to know how we can cater the webinar to the people that are on the phone right now. So we'll just keep this open for a couple seconds, but quick yes or no, or choose not to answer, it's completely up to you, but we'll keep it open just for a few more seconds. Just 2 more seconds. All right, so I'm going to shut it down, and it looks like the majority of people do have a way of testing, which is great.
Good. So we can actually go through our presentation, keeping that in mind, and also, are these the best way and the best kits that you have available to you with what you're currently using? So our introduction will begin covering the rapid pressure and our products. So today's webinar is focusing on asset protection. And asset protection is a classification of products that monitor the overall health of a transformer and any of the associated assets. Now, there are many different elements that we can monitor, like pressure, temperature, liquid level, gas, breathers, etc. But there are 2 main elements which can be the killer to your transformer, and that's pressure and temperature. Today's focus is going to be on pressure. In specific, we're going to be talking about the rapid pressure rise. Now, pressure builds up on your transformer when temperature increases, and this can be a result of an internal fault scenario. Therefore, we have devices that are there to prevent damage to your assets in that type of overpressure situation. There are 2 main types of pressure that can be present. You have slow pressure and you have rapid pressure. We offer devices for both of those instances. Some people may be familiar if we look at the slow pressure side with our small, medium, large, and extra large pressure relief device. This equipment, it can relieve pressure when it gets to a certain level at your transformer in order to avoid or prevent damage to your transformer or to other components. So it just alleviates that pressure inside of your tank. For a rapid pressure rise, we offer devices that look at when there's a quick change of pressure. And in those cases, a transformer would need to be taken offline in order to prevent any catastrophic damage to your asset. In the next few slides, we're actually going to learn more about the testing devices that we have, or we also call them field test kits, which we offer to look at rapid pressure rise units and ensuring that they work properly in order to protect your assets. So our current product lines that we offer that go on your transformer to protect and look at sudden pressure changes are, on the left-hand side, you have your 930 series electronic pressure monitor. Now you can look at 1 pressure measurement or look at a 2 out of 3 logic pressure measurement by having either 1 or 3 pressure transducers. On the right-hand side, you have the rapid pressure rise relays, which are series 900 and 910, and they can be used both on the oil or the gas space. Now for those, we have various styles for mounting. You can see threaded, and flange. They can be mounted horizontally, vertically, and have a variety of different connection styles. But all of these units that you see on your screen are there to protect your asset in the event there is a quick change of pressure. Sudden pressure relaying can be used synonymously with rapid pressure rise relay. So you may see and hear both of those acronyms. SPR and RPR are throughout the presentation. Now, I know we have a global presence and global participation even here today. However, I want to take the next couple of slides to just talk about the Newark PRC 005-6 SPR testing requirement. And this is obviously more for the North American market. So NERC stands for the North American the Electric Reliability Corporation, and they have responsibility over the continental U.S., Canada, and northern parts of Baja California, Mexico. The standard, this specific standard, it's around 40 pages and actually covers 3 different segments. It covers protection systems, automatic reclosing, and sudden pressure relaying. We're focusing on the sudden pressure relaying specifically, which is what we're covering today in the webinar. Now, the NERC standard establishes the requirements for a maintenance program that needs to be adhered to by utilities and companies that have transformers. The maintenance program can be time-based or performance-based, but for sudden pressure relaying, whether it's an electric unit or a mechanical unit, they must be tested every 6 years. And this can be found on page 38 of 40 of the actual standard. Now, you may ask yourself, well, I don't need to worry about this testing my units. You know, I haven't been audited by NERC or by any other regulatory agency. Well, the answer is you still need to test your units. Per the standard, even when you have not been audited recently, the expectation is that you still have records and evidence that you have tested your units every 6 years. And this can be found under the section Evidence Retention, which is on page 6 of the standard. Now, I may remind you guys, we have a resource page at the end of the presentation that has links to all the information we're going to be presenting today. But the main takeaway from this NERC PRC 005-6 is that all units, whether mechanical or electrical, need to be tested every 6 years. Our recommendation is actually add the testing of your units in your annual preventative maintenance schedule. And that'll make sure that you are protecting your units and ensuring proper use and functionality of your units that are on your assets. Now, testing your mechanical or electrical pressure units is critical, whether it's to fulfill a standard requirement, but more importantly, just to protect your assets. So we have received feedback from customers on some frustrations that they have faced. And part of the reason of coming out with the second test kit, which we'll learn about in a few more slides, has been because of feedback like this and making something easier for our customers. The most common frustration that we hear is just how time-consuming it has been to gather all of the equipment to test the unit, whether that's getting gauges, hoses, cylinders, timers, or the numerous steps it takes to even test your units for functionality. But I'm sure this list can go on and on. And a lot of you probably face your own challenges, which may not be listed here. But we're here to make it easy for you. Depending on what equipment you have, we have a one-stop shop for your field test kit. On the left-hand side is our newest kit, which we recently launched. It's a kit 930, which is used for your electric pressure monitors. And on the right-hand side, it's our kit 013, which is used for the mechanical units. First, we're going to cover kit 013, which is for the mechanical rapid pressure rise relays. So kit 013 is a portable kit designed to check the proper functionality of your rapid pressure rise relay, whether that's a 900, which is a unit that's used in oil space, or a 910, which is a unit used in gas space on your transformer. We've had this kit around for over 20 years, and we've had thousands being used around the globe. The units can be tested while installed on the transformer. It's an excellent portable diagnostic tool that you can keep right in your truck, go around to different substations and test all of your units with it. It has everything you need in one test kit, all of your connection, hoses, gauges, etc. And the instructions are right on the lid of the case. So you don't have to carry around extra manuals or anything else. Now I'm going to cover a simplified version of the testing procedure. You begin by removing the vent on the top of the unit, and you install that bushing. Then you install the tubing onto that bushing that goes right into the kit. There are 3 different types of connector styles that are available within your kit. There's ANSI, Qualitro, and Military. Plug that in. Then you're going to switch your unit on and see an amber light be lit on the unit, and it's ready for use. Then you will pump the unit up to the pressure required on your unit. On the table that's on the instruction in the lid of the case, it will be the various pressures that you need to specify for your unit. You reset the timer, and then finally you pull the pop-off pressure valve, which will portray the sudden change of pressure and activate your unit. Therefore, the light will turn on and say, yes, the unit did trip when there was a rapid change of pressure. A full video will be available at the end of the webinar, but it is also on our YouTube channel under Qualitro. Now let's move on to the Kit 930, which is used for the Electronic Pressure Monitor Series 930. Now this is a brand new kit which we have recently launched. This can be used on the 930 series, and it's a portable kit designed to check the functionality and parameters that we have to test. So this can be used for a single unit or the 2 out of 3 logic models which I mentioned earlier. There are 4 different test parameters. There's dry contact test, fast pressure rise test, pressure transducer test, and slow pressure rise test. It's an excellent portable diagnostic tool that can also be kept in the truck, similar to the previous one. Everything that you need in one case, and the instructions are also right on the lid of the case for ease of use. Now here we have the face of the kit and some of the labels so that it's easier to look and explain as we go through the next 2 slides. On the left-hand side, you'll see that there's a pressure transducer with an out pressure that comes from the Kit 930. So that's a hose that is mounted to the top of the flange of where the transducer is mounted. And this will be on the side of your transformer. What you see displayed here is in a bench, but obviously in a real-life instance, in a field instance, this is attached to your asset. On the right-hand side, you have an example. This is a 930 monitor. It is a three pressure transducer configuration. And in some cases, we have customers that utilize one flange with 3 pressure transducers right on it. That's when a customer will like to look at pressure at the same location. What you guys see in front of your screen, we have 3 different flanges and 3 different pressure transducers, meaning in this case, the customer would like to look at pressure at 3 different locations. From the monitor to the kit, you can connect the milliamp output right on here and also check for the dry contact test that will be performed in the next slide. If we concentrate on the bottom left-hand corner, the center of the kit, there is a pressure valve. And turning that valve to the fast or slow position would be what we see on the video to the right in order to indicate that there was a change of pressure, whether it was a fast pressure or a slow pressure, and the LED then changes light on the monitor itself. Once all the connections are made, there are the various testing parameters which we talked about. Utilizing the pressure valve in the center, you can test the fast pressure or slow pressure by moving the position of that valve. The lower right video is showing fast pressure, and you can faintly see that the monitor itself changes that LED light to show a change of status and that the unit is working properly. The next testing parameter is the pressure transducer. And for this, you can look at the displayed value on the case itself. The kit is displayed in the unit of amps, therefore showing 3 significant figures to get from a milliamp standpoint. The green hose that's hooked up to the bottom, that is where the pressure in comes in the case. And you can see with the pressure gauge also located near the green hose, you can see what that pressure value is to check the overall PSI to milliamp difference and ensure that it is working properly. The last test is for the dry contacts. And there are 3 switches at the bottom of the kit, which when we move from a deactivated to an activated position, the monitor LEDs will switch on and off accordingly. Now, a full video will be available soon with more detail on a full testing, similar to the one that we have available for the Kit 013 on the mechanical side. So to summarize, there are a lot of great benefits from having one of these test kits at your disposal. They are portable, easy to use in the field, have the instructions right on the case, no extra manuals that you have to carry with you. You'll have the go, no-go test. You can test fast pressure and slow pressure. But it also includes everything you need in one place. You have your case with an easy carrying handle, timers, gauges, pressure pumps, status LED lights, hoses, connectors, and specifically for the Kit 930, there's that 4 to 20 milliamp output which you can test. So whether you need one of these test kits to keep up with your NERC maintenance testing requirement, or you just want to make sure that your assets are fully protected with equipment that is fully functional, having one of these test kits at your site will give you the assurance you need to continue running your operation smoothly. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking, can I use this on third-party devices? So if the parameters are the same, meaning up to 30 PSI, various connections that can be utilized, then yes, these kits can be used for third-party devices. So we will provide all the information and instructions at the end of the webinar as well. So the resource page. We have a list of resources which we covered today, which include the video, which is a full video. I know I gave a summary of the overall testing of the Kit 013, the mechanical one, but there is a full 10-minute video. The NERC requirement, which the biggest takeaway, as I mentioned before, are you testing your units every 6 years and ensuring that there is records kept and evidence that the testing has been conducted. A link to our webpage with the various pressure products that we offer. Instructions, full instructions that we have for both of the kits. But if there are any other technical questions after this webinar, you can always feel free to contact our application engineering team at info@qualitrolcorp.com or the phone number that you see on your screen.
Great. Thank you so much, Lori. So that concludes our webinar for today. So before we ramp up and go into Q&A, we're going to do the swag giveaway. So on my end, everyone who is online right now has a number, and I am doing a random number generator. So at random, I am going to pick a number and just say a first name out loud just to, for privacy's sake, and make sure that, you know, we're protecting everyone's privacy. But so here we go, and it looks like Wade. So Wade, I am going to be messaging you privately and get your information, but you have won an Amazon Echo Dot. So congratulations to you. So just bear with me for a second while I transition everything over to Lori so she can start the Q&A portion, and I'll get your information so I can send that directly to you. But Lori, would you like to begin the Q&A process?
Sure. So any questions that are out there regarding what was presented today, Here in the room, I have with me, in order to help with the Q&A portion, we have our lead mechanical design engineer. His name is Jim Vaneski, and we have the application engineering team leader. His name is Praveen Koya. So I'd like to open it up for any questions that there may be in the audience.
And don't forget to use your chat functionality to actually write out the question. Okay, so the first one, the Kiddo 13, is the testing procedure the same for gas-based units?
The procedure is the same, but if you look at the table, you'll actually use different pressurization values because it's less sensitive than the oil-filled one, but that's actually on the instruction label that's in the kit.
Okay, great, thank you. Can the Kiddo 13 be utilized on the Buchholz relays? Sorry if I butchered that.
No, it cannot be used on the Buchholz relay. The Buchholz relay has a dual function as well. So this is specifically just for pressure rise.
Okay, thank you. Can you please confirm the NERC requirements is for the transformers with both windings rated greater than 100 kV only?
So the NERC requirement is for this webinar is specifically tailored to the pressure and rapid pressurized testing only. We might be able to get back to the customer if we have the contact information with relevance to the winding what the NERC says. So we might have to go back to the customer on that, and maybe we'll have to answer that question offline.
Okay. Is there any development on a test solution that can be done with the transformer online?
Well, you can actually do it online, but we don't recommend it because obviously there's a potential you could trip the transformer offline, right, if you're not careful about the interlocks.
Okay, great. All right, so those are the questions I have so far. Are there any others? Great, they're coming on in. Is there a way to use the test kit to also test an installed seal-in relay? Perhaps just leave the electrical connections intact and use the pressure source?
So just so we understand the question, so if you leave the wiring between the mechanical pressure and the seal-in relay intact, and you just want to test the pressure on the mechanical pressure relay, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, it would just latch the relay.
Yeah, it would. It's a means to test both the relay and the the seal-in relay and the mechanical relay. So that's fine. That's doable.
Great. Any other questions? All right, what's the procedure and how often is it required to recalibrate your test equipment to ensure it's operating properly?
So there is no recalibration required for the field test kits. So once it's out the factory, it will not lose its calibration unless the pressure gauge or the pressure relief valves go bad on the unit.
When the units, both kits are first powered on, they will show a 0 PSI. So then once you pump it to the value that it needs to be, that could be a means of double checking the value required to test that equipment.
Okay, great. Does the Kiddo 13 hold pressure well? Our existing kit of our making does not hold pressure well for the 1 minute prior to pressure release.
I guess I don't understand the question. Do they have a kit and they say that it's not holding pressure?
Yep, it looks like their existing kit does not hold pressure well for the 1 minute prior to the pressure release.
The pressure in the kit actually changes somewhat as you're using it, because obviously if you think about it, it's compressing the bellows in the top of the cup. So that's taking up some of the volume. So a slight pressure change is normal. That's always going to occur. If we're losing a lot of pressure, there's an O-ring, obviously, where they take off the breather cap. So if that O-ring's leaking, right, or the hose is leaking, right, that could be why they're losing pressure.
Okay. All right. Does this test kit only work for the sudden pressure? Oh, whoa, we got a lot of questions coming in. All right, hold on one sec. Does this test kit only test the sudden pressure relay, or does it test both the sudden pressure relay and the fail relay, probably the seal-in relay located in the transformer control cabinet?
Yes, it can be used for both of those.
Okay, great. On the SPR threaded version versus the bolted version, what valve is preferred to use between the tank and the SPR device mounted on the tank wall to use?
We don't recommend valves, right? The OEMs are generally selecting those valves based on their supplier.
Okay. Do you have to keep pumping during the waiting period?
Typically not, unless you have a large leak like we talked about. A slight pressure change is fine.
Okay. Do you mean the pressure, are you saying the pressure gauge on the kit 013 will always be accurate?
Depends on how you use it. Sometimes we have seen customers where they would try to stop the pop valve on the pressure kit, and in the intention of putting more pressure through the mechanical relay, which would damage the pressure gauge on the kit. So if it is used in the way it is recommended, the pressure gauge will always be accurate, unless there is something else, some of the means that would overpressurize the gauge. It should be accurate.
Okay.
Or I would say too, also, if the case ever, if it got a big drop, like if it dropped at 6 feet, obviously, there's a possibility you could knock it out of calibration.
Okay. But the case is made out, it's a Pelican case. It's a pretty durable, rugged case.
It's pretty durable, yes.
Is the pressure gauge on the test set temperature compensated?
No, it is not, because everything refers to gauge pressure, not absolute.
Okay. Does Qualitrol make a test kit specifically to test a bulk hole relay tripping function?
No, not at the moment. That is not in our portfolio at the moment.
Okay. Can this kit be utilized as a quality check for new transformers to confirm operation is adequate?
Absolutely.
If the pressure gauge has the possibility of being inaccurate, then why the kit 13 does not need recalibration?
As we said, typically it would only be out of calibration if something happened to the equipment, right? If it was either overpressurized or if it was dropped and damaged somehow. In normal use, it should be fine. It'll stay in calibration.
Okay. Does the kit 013 have a fault lead similar to what some of the seal-in relays have?
Could you repeat that question?
Oh, sorry. Does the kit 013 have a fault LED similar to what some of the seal-in relays have?
No, the intention of this kit is to test the mechanical relay, so you don't have any fault relays as on the seal-in relay. The purpose of the fault on the seal-in relay is to know if you have shorting anywhere along the wiring. So we don't necessarily have a fault LED on the test kit.
Okay. What's the margin of error for a calibrated kit?
The kit is really a confidence test. I mean, if you're trying to calibrate the unit, we have a more sophisticated tester, which will actually test it across the whole band. It's a fixture 601, which is actually has an electronic timer. And you actually test it over a series of tests. But that's not something people generally do in the field?
It's more of a lab-based fixture, which many customers have bought it for that purpose to have in their labs for calibration purposes.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions? These have been great questions. If I have a sudden relay installed up high on a transformer, could I install piping to allow testing at ground level?
Yeah, you could, but it would take a lot of air. Yeah, and there'd be a big delay.
It's not recommended just due to potential error that can happen throughout that distance.
Right, and it's an orifice, and you have to pump in a lot of pressure to create the differential.
Okay. How often should the test kit be calibrated?
So we always recommend that all the sensors and the monitoring devices on the transformer should be checked during the regular course of maintenance. So whenever the customer does their annual maintenance, we recommend to test these relays as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll stay on for another couple minutes or so if anybody has questions that come on in. Otherwise, don't forget that we will be sending out a copy of the slides and this recording to everybody. So just be aware that the email will be sent out later this afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, we just had a question pop up. Has a sudden pressure relay ever saved a transformer from a catastrophic damage?
Absolutely. That is why it's there. And we have had customers report back to saying, look, if this wouldn't have tripped our transformer, then this could have been a really big problem for us, cause a fire, or plus cause a blackout in a specific area.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was actually just out at a site where we were just specifically talking about this. Oh, and we just had someone just messaged in that saying that they had a sudden pressure relay alarm incident as well. So yes, it does happen. Okay, so again, we'll stay on for a couple more minutes, and I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us. And we hope that you have a great morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay, Lori, another couple questions coming in. In the case of false trips on the LTC SPR, do you recommend alarm or trip for those units?
It matters on the criticality of the transformer, right? But that's the situation you run into. And we can't really make that determination how critical the transformer is.
Okay. Sudden pressure relay and rapid rise relay are the same thing, correct?
Correct. They can be used synonymously.
All right, well, great questions today. Does the Kiddo 13 unit have connectors for both the 900, 910, and auxiliary relay?
Has connectors just for the 900 and 910. It does not have connectors for the auxiliary relay.
Is that something that can be added?
It depends on, we typically use this to test our devices. We don't know what the auxiliary device the customer uses. So typically we just restrict the testing to our device only.
But our connectors are industry, right? So they're ANSI style, military style, and then we do have a specific Qualitrol style.
So they're saying they usually use Qualitrol auxiliary relays. So then it should be able to use, the connectors would be able to use for the auxiliary relay, correct?
Well, if they're talking about the ceiling relay, typically what you're doing is you're actually unplugging the relay contact at the RPRR itself. And the reason they do that is because they're trying not to trip the transformer offline.
Yep,
If
exactly.
you test it through the relay, you have to make sure you unwire those contacts, right? Otherwise, you could potentially trip the transformer.
Yep. Yeah, they're saying they have the test switches on auxiliary. Okay, any other questions for this awesome team?
We did have a question actually for our audience, which is, what other topics would you like to see on future webinars that we hold? We'll probably just compile those. If you could put those in through the chat, that'll be great.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and keep your eyes out for that email today, and everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.